PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and on this edition of Vegas Hockey Recap, we break down every single game of the 2024-2025 season. We are going to be discussing the most recent matchup where the best team in the Western Conference going up against your Vegas Golden Knights. And there is a lot to go over. We're going to, talk about, pregame notes, if there's anything in that category, talk about the starting lineup for just a second, and then we will get into the game itself, because this game started out on one side of the spectrum. It looked like it was going to be a rant-type recap, and then it got turned around and became a positive recap here on Vegas Hockey Recap. So we're going to talk about all of that on this episode, and we're going to do that right here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Now, before we get to your Vegas Golden Knights, there is a situation that has developed in the NHL regarding a former Vegas Golden Knight and some comments that he made recently that I want to take just a minute or two and just address the comments made by Jonathan Marchessault and his coach, Andrew Brunette, with the Nashville Predators. I understand that the Nashville Predators are not doing well. It's an understatement to say the Nashville Predators organization is having a rough time right now. Look at the standings, and you're seeing how well it's going in Nashville. But Jonathan Marchessault saying that, when it comes to the coaching, him bashing his coach in Nashville. I'm not saying that you had it better when you were here in Vegas. I'm not saying that the grass ain't always greener on the other side. But you really shouldn't have left, should you? I mean, we're only, 2 months? 3 months? No, let's do 2 months just for sake. And you're already complaining about the coach, who, yes, we're pretty much thinking is going to get fired with their win-loss record. It's not going to be out of the realm of possibility of Nashville having a new coach. But the way Jonathan Marchessault is talking about the coaching staff, the way that Jonathan Marchessault is visibly annoyed during his tenure with the Nashville Predators, it's like Vegas Golden Knights fans saw this coming. It's like people who understand hockey knew that this was coming when you decided to be greedy, when you decided to leave an organization that you won a championship with, an organization that you spent seasons being the franchise leader in multiple categories with, and you decided to leave to get more years with the Nashville Predators. So when it comes to Jonathan Marchessault situation, the comments that he made regarding Andrew Brunette and the Nashville Predators organization, the coaching staff there, am I shocked that he's acting that way? No, not at all. Am I surprised that Jonathan Marchessault is frustrated at the situation going on in Nashville? No, because this is a Jonathan Marchessault who left Vegas. And the way he left, by the way, he's going to get some boos from Vegas Golden Knights organization. He's going to get some boos coming from certain fans and certain parts of the fan base because you didn't leave on good terms. So now you go to Nashville and you're already complaining. So for Jonathan Marchessault, I just wanted to very quickly, before we get into the recap itself, and just talk about that situation in Nashville and say, hey, you left. You wanted to go to Nashville. You wanted to get that security, that long-term job security. Congratulations. Good for you. But stop complaining and really, when it comes to Andrew Burnett and the Nashville Predators and Barry Trotz, this is a situation that they made their bed and now they have to lie in it. So just wanted to very quickly address that here on Vegas Hockey Recap. Now, the pregame notes for your Vegas Golden Knights, and congratulations for the first time, I think all season long, I can confidently say that your Vegas Golden Knights are fully healthy in terms of their starting lineup. Every starter and every person who is projected to be a starter heading into the year is fully healthy for the Vegas Golden Knights. And this is really interesting because 28 games, they've had at least somebody hurt who's supposed to be in the starting lineup. All right. You've had guys like Zach Whitecloud. He's been out for a little bit. You've had players, for example, like Mark Stone. He's had some injury problems. You've had Victor Olofsson. He's had some injury problems. William Karlsson was injured to begin the year. So when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, for the first time all season, your Vegas Golden Knights, all 18 people who are supposed to be in the starting lineup are supposed to be in the lineup, and they are for tonight's game. So that's really good. I like what we're seeing from Vegas here. And overall, it's really good to see the Vegas Golden Knights have a healthy 18-man starting lineup, and everybody is supposed to be where they're supposed to be. Now, getting into that starting lineup, by the way, on first line is Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. We have seen how well this line has gelled throughout the year, and with Mark Stone coming back in the game previously, Mark Stone has, going to definitely be a person to watch. On the second line, Alexander Holt, once again, really trying to find anywhere to gel. And then you got Tomas Hertl and Victor Olofsson. So, Olofsson and Holt, the newbies, I guess you would say, of the team. And then Tomas Hertl, who has been your power play quarterback and one of the best goal scorers on this team. And then you have three of arguably the most underrated or the most achieving goal scorers the Vegas Golden Knights have had this season: Brett Howden, William Karlsson, and Pavel Dorofeyev. So this line has really been good for the Vegas Golden Knights. They have gelled successfully well chemistry-wise when they are put together. And then on the fourth line, rounding out the forwards, you have Tanner Pearson, who's been in that slot pretty much all year long. And then Nicholas Watt and King Kolazar, the duo who has been together for years now with your Vegas Golden Knights. And then defensive pairings, no surprise here, Noah Hanifin and Alex Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb, and Nicholas Hague and Zach Whitecloud. And Zach Whitecloud coming back from injury. In fact, he was actually the only player out of the starting lineup in the game previously that they were waiting on. He had gotten injured. He is now back in the lineup. Kane Korzak is now sent back to being the seventh defenseman on the team. And then in starting goalie for in between the crease for the Vegas Golden Knights, Aiden Hill, coming off that 38 save performance in the previous game. So him starting back-to-back games. Granted, there was a few days off in between, but Aiden Hill, once again, in net for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, starting this game off, this went in the wrong direction for the Vegas Golden Knights as they let up the first goal of the game, being down 1-0. And this was a sloppy first period. We were seeing turnovers in the neutral zone. Trying to go from east to west was just not working for the Vegas Golden Knights. And overall, the puck possession was not pleasant. And there was some mistakes that were done in this first period. And it was kind of noticeable, like the chemistry, the hustle, the energy. It was just off in the beginning of this game. And this first period was kind of similar to a few games back when the Vegas Golden Knights had a rough and kind of slow start to the game. But similar to that game a few games back, the Vegas Golden Knights did have an unfortunate first period, but then they started to pick it up as the game went on. It started to build on momentum as the game went on. But yeah, this first period, it wasn't great seeing the passing. It really seemed like the Vegas Golden Knights were trying to get their bearings underneath them. But in the first period, the first 20, and I'll even say the first half of the second period, Vegas just needed to wake up, right? You need to get that cup of coffee in you, that kind of thing. So, speaking of which, wearing our jacket right now. It's cold outside. You might want to go out there and get some coffee and, get some Tim Hortons. But now that I think about it. But when it comes to the end of the first period, the Vegas Golden Knights being down 1-0, you get into the second period. This is when it would start to change a little bit for your Vegas Golden. So in the second period, the Vegas Golden Knights, you started to see a shift in the amount of shots that they were putting up. Now, hey, all respect to Connor Hellebuyck, Vezina Trophy winner, probably going to win the Vezina Trophy this year if we're going to be honest with how great Winnipeg has been. And he has been the best goalie in the world over the last couple of years. No disrespect to Connor Hellebuyck. Now, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, they put up 36 shots in this game, but the second period is when it really started to look like Vegas was trying to get their shot selection in order. Pavel Dorofeyev was getting his shots in. Jack Eichel was getting his shots in. William Karlsson was getting his shots in. I mean, that line of Howden, Karlsson, and Dorofeyev were starting to kind of click as the game was getting more and more into it. And then with Winnipeg having those two penalties, when both power plays the Vegas Golden Knights were under, yes, you went 0 for 2 on the power play, and that is unfortunate. But when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, you do have to give some credit to the power play because they were just putting up shots and putting up shots and putting up shots. They weren't just skating around during those 2 minutes trying to, create a situation. They weren't trying to, get Hellebuyck to make a mistake going east to west. No, they were, shooting at the slot. They were running to the point. They were going towards the middle. The Vegas Golden Knights did a good enough job, to kind of create shots in this second period, and they weren't as sluggish as they were in that first period. So you can appreciate that. I also will mention the Vegas Golden Knights. This is an organization that after that second period, you're only down 1-0. And, this is a Vegas Golden Knights team that we have seen overcome and make comebacks throughout the year. And this game would be no exception. Now, after the only penalty the Vegas Golden Knights took in this game, which was a Jack Eichel penalty, not even half a minute into the third period, the Vegas Golden Knights and their penalty kill would kill this off. So 1 for 1 on the penalty kill in this game. That's really good to see for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, what happens afterwards, very interesting, is that Keegan Kolesar, with an unassisted goal, gets past Hellebuyck and would tie up the game at 1 for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we can appreciate the fact that Keegan Kolesar, he's been scoring a decent amount this year. Really like what we've seen from Keegan Kolesar. Is someone, not mainly known for being, that level of a goal scorer. He'll score the occasional goal here and there. But Keegan Kolesar, 7 goals already on the year. So we could definitely appreciate seeing that from the Vegas Golden Knights and from a guy who's really become a leader in the locker room. Everybody's been watching warmups. He's the guy, dishing out the pucks. He's passing the pucks to the people while he's in the middle near the net. So Keegan Kolesar really has become more of that, established leader in the locker room as he becomes more of a veteran. And Vegas Golden Knights continuing the third period. Winnipeg still making mistakes. They had 2 penalties in the third period. And this is where the Vegas Golden Knights would capitalize on those penalties. As after a Josh Morrissey goal to put Winnipeg up by 1, the Vegas Golden Knights, with 2 minutes left in the game, they would capitalize on back-to-back penalties. They were only within like half a minute of each other, Winnipeg getting 2 penalties, and the Vegas Golden Knights would capitalize on the power play, a very successful power play goal. And I like what we saw from Vegas there, as what would happen here on the power play is that the Vegas Golden Knights, and yes, I'm using my other monitor because it is what it is, Victor Olofsson, with some help from Mark Stone and Shea Theodore, he would get his 4th goal and would tie the game up for the Vegas Golden Knights. And, the successful power play, Mark Stone has a lot to do with it. But Shea Theodore, I have to give props and I have to give credit where credit is due. In terms of offensive production, he is one of the best in the NHL in terms of defensive, offensive-minded defensemen. Shea Theodore getting his assists, helping out when he can. And, heading into overtime for the Vegas Golden Knights, as it would be tied 2-2, Shea Theodore would get the puck over to Ivan Barbashev, who's still having an excellent season. Ivan Barbashev, left, right, would get past Connor Hellebuck, and the Vegas Golden Knights would win in overtime. So a solid overtime victory for the Vegas Golden Knights. And only having 2 penalty minutes in this game, I have to give a lot of credit to the discipline that Bruce Cassidy has made this team have. They do not endure many penalties. They do not give up as many penalties as the previous tenure before Bruce Cassidy got here did. So for the Vegas Golden Knights, only having 1 penalty in this game and pulling out a victory against the best record in the NHL, that is remarkable. Now, with the Vegas Golden Knights picking up the victory, this is your 4th win in a row. So for the Vegas Golden Knights, 4 wins in a row. They're going to be taking on Edmonton moving up. And it'll be very interesting to see with Edmonton if that streak is going to keep on going or if there's going to be what we call the next month where the Vegas Golden Knights do struggle at points in time. But, 4 wins in a row, we will take that. Now, your player of the game is not just because of him getting the team on the board and tying up the game in the 3rd period, but Keegan Kolesar was really impressive in this game. He finished his checks. He was making the right read on the passes. So for Keegan Kolesar, he gets player of the game because of how well he did in this matchup. And he displayed a decent amount of solid momentum in this game. So Keegan Kolesar, player of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this is your win-loss record. This is what the Vegas Golden Knights are doing right now. And like I alluded to, you're going to take on Edmonton in 2 days, and we will find out what the Vegas Golden Knights are going to do then. I do want to quickly mention here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Vegas Hockey Hub. That's where we upload all these episodes. That's where we upload content onto our YouTube channel. We also have our Facebook page at Vegas Hockey Hub. We have our Instagram at Vegas Hockey Hub. We have our Twitter at Vegas Hockey Hub. And we have our TikTok at Vegas Hockey Hub. And you know what? When it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, so far has been very well. And I like what we've seen from Vegas. This winning streak has been well for Vegas. And I can appreciate what the Vegas Golden Knights are doing. So overall, your Vegas Golden Knights, I appreciate what effort that they have put into this. And so far, your Vegas Golden Knights have done a good job. And, for the goaltending, Aiden Hill only giving up 2 goals in this game, another solid performance by Aiden Hill. So until next time, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And continue watching our recap shows. We're going to have content that we're going to try to be uploading onto the network. And go to www.prconnectionsradio.com and support the network because they do help us out and let us be on the air. So until next time, have a good one and go Knights.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.